Hey, y'all, in this episode of the Carolina Chuck Podcast, we're going to hang out with my man, Mark Getman. He's from Doc Yukon, one of the North Country's coolest rock bands. Getty is the band's drummer and even does a little bit of vocals. Now, Doc Yukon will take a song you've probably heard a bunch of times, spice it up, make it their own, and make you like it all over again. Now, I first saw these guys at a New Year's Eve party, and they were playing anywhere from Primus to Lady Gaga. I mean, these guys can really put on a show and make it fun. So if y'all get a chance to see Doc Yukon, y'all check them out. But we're going to talk to Mark and find out what this band's all about. Y'all be good. Peace out. And yeah, it's been pretty good since then. I've been talking to you, trying to get you to come on.
Yeah.
And, some of the guys, because I like talking music, and it's just there's so much going on, and you guys seem to be involved in every little bit of it, and which is cool. I've heard of you guys for a while back. I was like, what the heck is Doc Yukon? What is that? Where does that name come from?
That name, yeah, it's so funny. I wish we'd had a better story behind it, really, because really that was one of the hardest things we had to do in the beginning is figure out what we were going to call ourselves.
Right.
So we have a group message, and just literally spitballing answers back and forth. And the Yukon part, so back in the day, Andy, our one guitar player, quietest guy in the band, in his younger years, not so much now, but he liked to get into the Yukon Jack. I don't know if you've ever dabbled in Yukon Jack or not.
Well, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's I don't even know how to describe it. It's not in every bar, that's for sure. But,
it's alcohol.
Oh yeah, it's alcohol. Yeah, it's booze. Yeah. So
okay, all right.
Yeah, so it's got a hefty proof to it. So yeah, so in his younger days, that was his drink of choice, and his nickname was Yukon Andy. So we were kind of riffing off that, and someone made a joke Dr. Yukon or Dr. Andy, and then Doc Yukon came out, and I was like, man, it's kind of got a ring to it. It's like,
yes.
Why not that? I mean,
it really does. It's a sort of a fascinating name. I mean, it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Like I was telling them last time we were doing a podcast, I was like, we were trying to figure out what to call this show, and one of the favorite ones that everybody loves, the management and all, was like, let's call it Chuck Around and Find Out. I'm like, what? I said, heck no, man. I said, sounds kind of cool, but I mean, I don't think so. You know?
Not quite going hitting the vibe you're looking for.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, there's little kids that come up and want to meet me. I was like, you can't really, I don't want them saying that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's a lot of times that I'm like, I wish I could do something that wasn't so PG because, I do have some funny jokes,
Right. Oh, yeah. You can go. That opens
I work
up
at a car dealership.
Oh, yeah,
there's some things to report on there that get said all day. But so what's up, Mark? I mean, what's you? How long? When did this band get started?
So we're rolling into our 8th year now. So it kind of started back in 2016 when the band that I was in at the time was winding down. At the same time, the band that Brian and Andy were in was also winding down. And at that time, when my previous band, Wagner's Agenda, we played our last couple shows at Paddock, and it was great. We had a great run. And I was like, well, I don't really know what I'm going to do musically, because everyone else kind of had their own thing. And I was thinking to myself, boy, really, in terms of people to play with, I'd love to be able to play with, like the guys in Moonshiner, like Brian and Andy. And at that time...
Moonshiner. Oh,
yeah, that
everything is alcohol related.
Oh, yeah. I mean... we spend a lot of time playing in bars over the years, for sure. So that's always a tie-in. But, yeah, so I always really liked how those guys played and everything. And then a couple days after that last show with Wagner's, they reached out and were like, hey, we're looking to get something going. I'm like, what, really? So then pretty much immediately we started getting together and working on stuff. And we've been together since.
Bro, and I was trying to explain to you guys when I saw you at the... I think it was a Thousand Islands Fest. I was like, y'all turned some songs that kind of played out and almost played out and boring kind of. Y'all turn them into a way better version. And I'm like, and it's entertaining. I'm like, wow. Like some of that stuff, I'm like, okay, that's a song I really know, but the way that they're playing it, I'm digging it. You know, it's really cool. It's really cool what you're doing.
It's cool that you notice things like that. I can definitely tell you're more of you listen a little deeper to the music than some people do, which, you know, everyone has their own way of listening to stuff. But yeah, with that sort of thing, we feel the same way too. Like some songs like Brown Eyed Girl, Sweet Home Alabama,
you know, dude,
they're classics and you got to play them. Sometimes, you know, there's still people, they're timeless, you know, so people want to hear them. But at the same time, it's like, I've played this song like 5,000 times now.
Yeah.
Let's play with it a little bit. And that's kind of how all of us are. We'll stick other songs in the middle of it, or we'll, you know, change the feel of it.
I know. I really became a huge fan when I don't know if it was I've seen you a handful of times. But I think it was the New Year's party.
I remember kind of like chatting with you or making more of a connection.
Yeah,
New Year's.
The New Year's party. I think that, and like I was like, all right, what is Doc Yukon? I think that was the first time I saw y'all because I've heard about you everywhere. And when I saw you play some Prime and stuff, I was like, what? Like, what is going on? And that was right about the time I had, I was like, I quit drinking, right? So I was at like a totally sober thing too, you know, to experience some good music.
Yeah, that's
sober was it kind of blew me away a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm like, usually you're like, yeah, this is awesome when you're, partying a little bit,
right?
But I'm like getting into it. I'm like, wow, this is great, you know. So you did a good job.
Wow,
everybody did a good job.
That means something too, because we get a lot of compliments at the end of the night from people that are maybe just have one eye open at that point. And it's like, well,
they just, I mean, honestly, the thing is like, I'm experiencing it in a different view, but it's, they're experiencing the same thing, but it's probably way better.
Oh yeah. But, you know, that's always awesome to see, because that's why we do what we do. And especially me personally, I feed off that, you know, in my eyes, I'm existing to help these people have a good time, forget about life. It's an escape from all the other stuff. That's the beautiful thing about music.
Yeah.
And being a drummer, I kind of control the dance.
Yeah.
You know, the rhythm, the drums and the bass really are what make people want to dance, even if they don't realize, you know, that pound of the kick drum and that sort of stuff. It's almost like a primal thing. So it's really cool to, you know, be a part of that.
I really like what you do. Everybody in the band gets their, like, kind of like how, if you ever heard a Tyler Childers song, every one of when he plays live and stuff, he lets every person in the band that's playing a different instrument have kind of like a solo situation. You know what I mean? So it's not him just standing up there. Like everybody that does any kind of instrument has like a part where they're the lead. You know what I mean? It's super dope. And the way that everybody in your band gets a chance to sing and just have, like, you can't tell who's, like, it's everybody. You know what I mean? I didn't have enough microphones to get the whole band in here, but I was like, oh, this is one guy I've been kind of talking to, so I'm going to bring you in. And, but I think it's a really cool thing because there's not one person that just stands out in your band. It's really awesome.
Precisely. That's really cool that you noticed that, because that is really what we've become, is just a unit. So like if one of us can't play, we're not gonna do the gig and just bring someone in to fill in. Like I've been in other bands like that and I fill in for other bands, you know, my friends in Hot Kogan with Gino and them, you know, that's more of a band where you kind of have people in and out of it. But the way we do stuff, the way our songs are arranged, the way, you know, it just can't function without one of the members.
And you say y'all are 8 years deep in this?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and which for anybody that's been in a band or anything like that, to hold that together for 8 years, you know.
And I mean, I haven't been here, but going on 3 years, and like, I've heard a lot of things about you. So I think y'all are growing for sure, your audience. But
cool, yeah. It's always, we try to, you know, the battle becomes at a certain point is keeping things fresh.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, every once in a while we got to overhaul the set list, try to incorporate some different tunes, try to, you know, pull in what maybe people are really into at that moment. So that, you know, that becomes kind of that side of the battle when you've been in it for a while.
So what are some of your favorite bands? What kind of music do you like?
I'm definitely like a rock and roll, like classic rock guy. I'm a nerd, you know, Rush. I don't know if you know much about Rush.
Boy, do I know about Rush. Okay. I mean, That is one Canadian band that I know something about for sure. I started a little. I'm not going to say I started a band, but we were attempting to start a band, and I was just blown away by the talent I was surrounded by. I had no talent in singing or any part of that, but I got a band together.
Awesome.
And I was just like, look, guys, we'll play some music. I brought this guy in and a guitar player, and then the first thing they jammed on was some Rush songs, and it was in a wood shop. We were cutting in the I guess you'd call it the hood in Charlotte, right? So we're in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the hood in a wood shop that was, and then after hours we moved all the saws and stuff, and there's these guys just set up and we're jamming some Rush. It was really cool experience, and I'm sitting there going like, yeah, I don't know what I could do for you guys other than just bring people together. So that's kind of what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Facilitated it, yeah.
But yeah, I know a little bit about Rush, and I like Rush. They do a lot of cool stuff. I like a lot of different stuff. You know what I mean? I like a little bit heavier stuff. Then I like, shoot, I even listen to spa music. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm the same way. I'll bounce around. I get in, I'll listen to a lot of jazz and funk and stuff that's not as, I guess, commercial or bands like Wolfpack and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely have a heavier side too. The reason I started playing drums was because of Nirvana. I saw the Smells Like Teen Spirit music video as a kid, and Dave Grohl just beating the ever living life out of the drums.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to do that.
Yeah. So. Look, and one of my favorite bands, which is going to surprise most people, is the Melvins.
Oh, whoa.
I love the Melvins.
Wow.
And then I went and saw them live in Charlotte once, where they got two drummers. Like, they use two drummers, and they play.
Wild.
They not only play in sync, but then they'll play like different. It's mind blowing. And then, but anyways, I dig the Melvins, and then the fact that they kind of influenced some Nirvana stuff. You know, like heck, Nirvana's first album, I think he was trying to sound kind of like the Melvins anyways.
Yeah, but, Bleach. That's a good album.
Yeah.
Doesn't get the attention of the other ones.
Have you ever heard of Them Crooked Vultures?
Oh, yeah, man. I went to see them. I was in college. I went to college at SUNY Fredonia. And they were in Toronto, so it wasn't that far of a jump, really.
Wow.
So, yeah, that was like 2009, something like that. But, yeah, their album wasn't even released yet, and it was in like a small club, just general admission only, so I got there super early. And, again, being a Dave Grohl guy, and that was my first time getting to see him actually play the drums.
Really?
And more importantly, feel him.
Right.
Like, through the... Like,
that's for the reason I was bringing it. I was like, obviously, you missed out some Nirvana time, but...
right.
But, God, what a freaking one album that was.
Oh, I know. And then you got John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin in it. Josh Homme from... what is it?
Queens of the Stone Age.
Thank you.
And,
yeah, that's a kill. I wish they would have done more than one album, because that album's killer. Or you like it just that because it's one album, it's special that way?
I feel like that because there's every song on there is like really good. Yep. And now that it's been so long, I'm like,
at this point,
I don't know if you should tamper with it. You
right.
know what I mean?
I would agree definitely at this point because, well, let's be honest, they're all, John Paul Jones has got to be like in his 70s or something.
Like now.
So yeah, I definitely, I can agree with that outlook, because that is that's a killer album.
But then I'm in like super hip hop stuff too. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Like The Baby.
Nice.
No, I'm kidding.
So that's
from Charlotte, but no, I'm not kidding. But
that's the one thing I don't have a lot of like R&B, hip hop.
Yeah.
Just aside from like a couple tunes here and there that come up. I don't know. I've just never ventured out into that.
Yeah.
That side of things. Which I'm probably doing myself a disservice because I'm missing out on a lot of good grooves,
There's some cool stuff, and I could turn you on to some stuff later. But but there's some really cool instrument stuff too. I listen to when we set up in here. Sometimes I put on this thing. It's just instrumental stuff. It's called J. Cole type beats, and it's I don't know. It's kind of hypnotized. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, is it more like kind of like just like chill?
It's sort of chill, but it's kind of like got a little. I don't know how to explain it. It's a little bit of everything. I mean,
nice.
I think it's really cool. And honestly, that when I used to have to drive around Charlotte and like check on jobs and stuff like that when I was down there, where I was doing a lot of driving, you're always like trying to switch through songs and I could put it on like a playlist of that and just let it rock all day and just like I'm not rapping or anything, but it just kind of puts you in a good groove.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool, just for the music side of things. But so where are you from originally?
I'm born and raised in Lafargeville.
Lafargeville, huh?
The L.A., the mean streets of L.A. That's where I live now. So I'm a lifer. I've been here my whole life. So really, I don't have an exciting backstory. Like I moved here and then went there. I mean, we lived down in Binghamton for a little bit, but that's only like a couple hours away.
Yeah,
so that doesn't count.
Well, I gotta ask because it seems like a lot of people from the area are from different areas. You know what I mean? It's kind of neat. There's the Fort Drum thing. It's kind of. I mean, people are like, "Wow, you're from the Carolinas." I'm like, dude, there's a bunch of people up here from all over the place. I don't necessarily stand out.
Yeah.
So what got you started in music from the get-go?
Music was always on in my house. So just grew up listening to the radio, singing along to songs, and then 5th grade came around in school, and it was, time to sign up for band or chorus. I'm like, I'll do it. I want to play the drums.
Yeah.
And right around that time, I was, seeing those Nirvana videos and stuff like that. And thankfully, Lafargeville's a really small school, and they needed a drummer, I guess, in the school band. So I got into drums that way. And
wow.
And then my parents were like, well, if you stick with it, for a year, we'll get you a drum set. So I stuck with it. And then the next year, I think my grandparents got me my first drum set and set up down in the basement. And God bless my parents.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, man, I got kids right now. I'd be crazy.
Yeah. Same with me. Like I get snippy. I just got one kid, and I get snippy if he's like banging stuff around the house. I don't know how they did it really, but probably because they're just used to it. My mom always liked loud music anyway, I guess.
Nice.
But it was, like anything, when you get started out, you're terrible, so, and that's just part of the growth, so, and have, my friends over who were also getting started and equally terrible, and we made a lot of noise, and, you just kind of figure it out from there.
So tell me this, what's the first time you played in front of an audience? Do you remember that? And what was that like?
Boy, the first time I played in front of an audience.
Like in a band?
In a band.
Not in a school?
Not in school, yeah. I would say, I think it was a talent show at school.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of like having to unlock the...
Yeah, that's all right.
But yeah, it was one of those first bands where it was just me and some of my friends. And the school had the junior class put on they call it a variety show. And you do whatever, and it's like, all right, that was our big gig we were striving for, to play 2 songs and be done in like 10 minutes. But so I remember
got the
that.
Butterflies. That because I really, my thing I guess was I did some boxing and stuff, so I knew I could box, but then getting in front of people and doing it was the task, and it wasn't for me the fight. It was the actual audience that really gave me the butterflies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering how that went for you.
Yeah, I definitely remember being nervous. Especially when you're so green and you're just getting started.
Right.
Thankfully, I do remember that environment being very warm. That's it's at the school and everyone was very good applause for stuff.
Wow,
so I remember feeling good about that.
Yeah.
Again, that's how I'm wired. I feed off of the crowd.
Yeah.
So I remember that kind of like the butterflies turning into just like excitement, and then once the music starts and I'm in the middle of it, then I can just kind of lock in and focus on. That's the nice thing of being a drummer too. You can kind of just put your head down and go for it, unless it's a song where I got to sing, and then that's just a whole other ball of wax
too.
Yeah, so that becomes more of like a thing where you're juggling.
I'm like, how the heck do you sing and drum at the same time? I seen what is it, Spider Bait or something that covered the Black Betty song.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? There's a
yeah.
new version of it.
Oh, yeah.
Spider-Bait that did it. And
Okay.
I remember all I did was seeing the video and the drummers back there singing. I think that's the first time I was like, what? The drummer singing?
Oh, really? So I haven't seen the video of it. I think I know the cover you're talking about, but no kidding. That's the drummer singing
neat,
too.
Yeah.
Nice. I definitely got to check that
So
out.
how does that work in your head though?
Yeah, it's kind of like you got to get things, each task to a point of like muscle memory so you can just do it really and not worry too much. Yeah, it's really kind of hard to explain, but yeah, I I'll have my drum part just kind of where it'll be kind of set it and forget it. So then I can focus on singing, because singing isn't easy by any means, and it's scarier in its own right because it's a more vulnerable thing,
right? And
sometimes it doesn't do what you think it's going to do either. Your voice might crack a little or something, or if you're under the weather, like I'm still.
You feeling better?
I am feeling better. I've still got like a stubborn cough and stuff. That
we were just talking. Jameson is actually a cure for that.
You know what?
Yeah.
And I'm overdue for that. Yeah, you kind of got to just burn the rest of that stuff out.
I know you are a fan of different things, but we were talking earlier. Jameson is a cure for that. I used it back when I got COVID.
That was a go-to. Yep.
And he's gonna try it if he gets it.
Yeah.
Tried it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. He went ahead and the vaccine. He did the vaccine. He went ahead and tried it ahead of time.
Yeah.
Which is brutal because I don't like needles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That would be a thing. I thought, and just on a whole different topic, I was like, what the ultimate weapon, like in a bar fight, would be? Instead of carrying like a knife around, you carry like a syringe.
Oh God!
And then like, you know what I mean? Like somebody's trying to jump on you, and you just like, hey. And I'd be like, look, anybody that pulls a needle out on me, and I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's sketchy.
I'm just thinking. I just wanted to put that out there. I was just thinking.
That's
about
a good because then the person who sees that come out
because everybody's afraid of needles, even the biggest guy in the room. They're
I just got blood work done, and I'm like such a wimp. Like the doctors hate me so much because I literally just like, okay, I need to do you guys like a stress ball, and I'm like biting down on my shirt. I'm like, hold me back, and I just cannot. Like, and every time I get concerned, they'll go, are you gonna like pass out if you see the needle? I'm like, no, but
there's always a chance.
Yeah, there's always a chance. So let me ask you this. There's no chance of originals for you guys? I mean, are you doing any? Because
I wouldn't say no chance. It always comes down to time for us. Mm-hmm. It's always been one of the difficulties because we live far apart. Now, Andrew and I live close together. He lives in Clayton. I'm in Lafargeville. But Brian's out in Montague. Andy's out in Constableville. We all have day jobs and families. Mm-hmm. And then Brian's also in the Rattlesnakes now. So that just finding the time to get together has always been real hard. And doing originals is something we've talked about since the beginning. And we have like little jams and stuff like that we've come up with, but we've just never been able to prioritize. It comes down to like, all right, do we want to learn more covers to freshen up the set list? Because that's really what people are going to want to hear. So that always kind of has taken precedent, but I get rambling. I'm sorry. But.
No, you're good.
But it is something we're talking about more now. So maybe someday we'll actually get it put together.
And it's not that your band actually would have to do originals, because what I dig about your band is what you do. Like, you take songs and make them better. So you don't necessarily have to do, you know what I mean? It's not like some people, like when I was asking Josh, I'm like, he's right and stuff. I mean, what they do, like, I think originals make sense, but what you guys are doing, you're taking cool stuff and then making it way cooler. You know what I mean? So it's almost like you want to hear you. I mean, not that I've listened to all your set. Like, I'm still like, we're just the beginning of this thing. But if you were having to do, instead of writing a song, like, you could just find some random song and make it better. And then that would be what would be awesome. You know what I mean? Yeah. That makes sense.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's one of the things I like doing so much too, is like, we picked up a couple of Lady Gaga tunes.
Yeah.
And, really is kind of a novelty. You know, some of these songs I'll pick in more of a novelty frame of mind because it's like, all right, this has got to be interesting to people. See this, 6'2", 300-pound dude sing a, a Lady Gaga tune, not just, so that's got to be interesting. And then we get into it and we have to make it our own in some sort of way. So it's a lot of fun to take songs like that. And we like trying to kind of be all over the map too, where we do that. And then we'll do, that Time of My Life song from Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
And why not,
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, like I said, y'all do some really cool stuff. Like I did, you didn't make it, but, I want to call it Speed Street. What was that thing called down there? The Block Party.
Oh, the Block Party. Yeah.
Wow, that was great. That was a good performance too. I found a little spot last time I watched Josh and them play it. It's right behind the speaker.
Yep. So you're not getting your face blown off.
Yeah, I did. Look, I saw a guy just lay his head on the speaker. I said, "What the world is wrong with this guy?"
Yeah,
like he was level 9. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just comes over there and goes and laid his face on the speaker. I'm like.
It's like, bro, those speakers are a lot like it makes your hair rattle.
Yeah,
if you're near
I'm right here behind. I got some cool video. I'm gonna send it to him, and we'll add it to the show too.
Oh, sweet, yeah.
Because I was like right there. I'm like, all right. And I showed the crowd a little bit.
Oh,
Maybe
nice.
we could throw it into like a promo or something.
I'll have to try and get some of that from you too, because I recorded that night. I just haven't gotten around to editing all of it. But
yeah, I got them somewhere. But
sweet. Yeah.
They're kind of cool. I mean, I don't do like a long video because nobody's gonna watch the whole song.
Right.
So I'll get like a good, y'all playing, and then I'll just show the crowd a little bit.
Nice.
But yeah, dude. So what else y'all got coming up this summer?
So I can't believe the summer is pretty much gone.
I know,
like,
dude. It's so sad. I feel like I experienced the whole summer sitting here in this chair talking about what's going on this summer.
Oh yeah.
But luckily, I've managed to make it about everything that I've talked about. So.
That's cool.
It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
I just met the new owner of Water Safari.
I saw that. That was one of the interviews. That's your most recent one. That's up on the podcast. Yep. So
what a cool gig that guy's got.
Oh my, yeah. Does he start out at Disney World or Disneyland? I forget.
He started out as like a lifeguard at Disneyland or Disney World or whatever, and kind of worked his way up through. I was like, dude, that's super cool.
That's awesome. And you've never been to Water Safari?
Never.
Oh yeah, you got to get up there with the family.
They've invited me to come up there. I'm gonna try to make it happen. Obviously, I don't have much time left.
Yeah, the season's winding down quick. Actually, we got to get up there too. My son has a free ticket he got from school. And
yeah,
we got to go to Water Safari.
Yeah, well, let me know when you go, and we'll try to. I mean, I'm thinking about trying to go on I'm off on like Tuesdays. I don't know what your schedule's like.
Oh, I'm usually off on weekends.
Yeah,
but for you going on a Tuesday, that'd be a good call because the weekends.
Kind of get packed.
When a lot of people are there. So,
what was I going to say about it? But yeah, no. So what he was like, I kind of picked an idea. Like I knew he wanted to really let the community know that it wasn't a big corporate takeover. You know what I mean? And I think we did a pretty good job of putting that out there because I didn't really know this was one of the only. I do all my interviews are mostly me. Getting vibes from people like, all right, I want to talk to this guy, and then actually NBC is the one that hooked me up with this guy. He's like, hey, he's in town, you want to do it? I'm like, and it's pretty in line with what I'm doing anyways. But yeah, so we got that hooked up. It was cool, man. But
that is cool, and like you said, that is a good thing to do because initially I remember when that announcement came out that because that same family had that place forever. So of course everyone that knows it as an institution immediately. People start worrying about what changes are going to happen, stuff like that.
Right. So. And then the same thing was going on with Carowinds back home, which what I went to when I was a kid in Charlotte. They got bought out by Six Flags. And so, and I just went to Carowinds for the first time since I was a kid anyways. Like when I went down to South Carolina during, a couple months ago. And, like I really cares what goes on there. But I ended up, once I found out that was happening, I joined a Facebook group to kind of figure out, like what's going on. Like they're going to change things, Like I was super conservative about the water park or the roller coaster thing or amusement park.
Back by
I was like, they're going to take our slides, you know what I mean? So I don't know. So I kind of got the vibe of what the community was feeling up here. So I was like, oh, I could turn that into that. Because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk to this guy about. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've never even been there.
Yeah.
So I just fed off of that. But anyways, let's go back to Doc Yukon. You know? By the way, I told you they're looking for a band to play their thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can reach out and see. I don't know. It's something I don't really know any other details except they were wanting for somebody to play kind of a good mix of things. I was like, well, I got the best thing mix band around. You know what I mean? But anyways, let's see. That's all on you, whatever you want to do it or not. But so, like I was saying, what do you think? What do y'all got left for the summer?
So yeah, left for the summer. Not a ton left in this month. I'm trying to think. The 31st, I know we're going back down to Turning Stone, so we'll be at the gig on Saturday, the 31st. Mm-hmm. So it'll be good to get back there. We've been, I think that'll be our third time playing there. So we've been getting comfortable there and getting the feel for that, which is fun. I think we got a couple other places. We'll be at like O'Brien's to kind of close out their summer on the 30th of that weekend. And I think we've got other private parties and stuff like that. So in the summertime, we get, like wedding season and stuff like that. And private parties and stuff.
Y'all would probably, yeah.
Yeah, we do a lot of. This year we've kind of slowed down on the weddings because it got to be, it was pretty grueling last summer. Because it's just, I don't know. Over the years it's spread like word of mouth.
Yeah.
It's been kind of cool because we'll play for this wedding. It's like, oh, you're friends with these people who we played for their wedding like 3 years ago or whatever. So
yeah.
So it's been great, but the weddings take up so much of your time too. So that's kind of why we don't have as much time available now. So we had to kind of back off that. But
so how are y'all picking and choosing gigs now? I mean, you kind of got a pretty popular name. It's kind of hard to do every little thing.
Yes, it's tough. It's a juggling act because, like I said, we're all family guys with day jobs, so we have to kind of balance that to be with our families occasionally on weekends to do your stuff, your family stuff.
Yeah.
And then Brian and the Rattlesnakes, they're obviously real hot right now. So it's like an act of Congress to schedule stuff down.
Yes.
And you just unfortunately you do have to say no a lot more than you say yes. Yeah. But it's a good problem to have.
And that's kind of what I'm getting with this thing because, and I'm nowhere near as popular as you guys, but
I don't know. You've got it's like you've really exploded. I think in the community. You're like the radio spots. That's how I came to hear you for the first time. Like, wow, this guy's got kind of a cool thing going on around here, in the car business. What a recognizable name, and you have a demeanor that's very approachable. Many moons ago, I was in the car business as well, not nearly at the level that you run at, but yeah. So I was kind of keyed in on that early, and then I've just kind of been seeing you all around and everything. So it's cool to see how you've built.
And honestly, it's more or less that the whole thing is fueled by me trying to get my name out there more. Is kind of because I'm sad. And you know why I'm sad? It's like I'm not from up here, so I want to get to know everybody, but I'll be at the dealership or something, and then I'm talking to my buddies, and all of a sudden they start talking about people they know, and then I'm over here like, I don't know none of those people. You know what I mean? Like, like it gets to like they talk about their cousins and stuff, and I'm like, man, it gets kind of depressing. I'm gonna tell you, like,
you know what? That's it's not. I kind of take it for granted. I guess I'm up here. I've got a lot of family up here. I've got my roots up here.
Yeah, it's a kind of a hard thing because really, only people I got up here is my wife and her family. I mean, now I got friends, and it was sort of hard at first to make connections with people because I felt like I was in a whole different country. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm like, what is cheese curd and all this other stuff? You know what I mean? I'm like, what is this stuff?
Yeah,
you know?
Cheese is a big thing around here.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay. And then it just got, I made friendships, but then it's like your friends that I just made have got like way deeper friendships with people they grew up with. So now I'm like, oh man. So now I'm just trying to just connect with a bunch of people to like alleviate that feeling of.
Yeah. Because you're definitely a social guy. I can see that.
Right.
Yeah, you're outgoing and everything. So,
I mean, I got people back home I talk to, but it's dwindling where I don't make as many phone calls. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, I don't know. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's the one thing that keeps me going is like, I like talking and making friends with people and having good friends. And I've made some really good friends. It's just like, I want to know the people they're talking about, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what I did was I could say that I studied a little branding and stuff, and I got the opportunity. I mean, I'm not the only one that cuts commercials. Like every salesman gets the opportunity to cut their commercials, and I just was prepared. You know what I mean? Like they say that you've got to be prepared for your opportunities. I actually moved an hour and a half away from where I was from into North Carolina. Mm-hmm. I call it a fortress of solitude. You know what I mean? And I just honestly didn't really connect to people in that. Not that I wasn't like. I moved into a little small town in North Carolina and didn't really go out and talk to anybody but my neighbors. You know what I mean? I was in the woods. So I got into heavily reading and studying. I'm like, I'm going to do something different. I was already into sales a little bit, but it was kind of a boring sales job. And I don't know. I didn't know what I was going to get into, but I was prepared for when it happened. I read a book called "You Are the Brand" right before I came up here. I knew about branding and stuff, and I got up here, and it's sort of easy. I fell right into my groove. I was talking to a lady today who I made friends with. They're on Fort Drum, and her husband are military. They both bought from me, and they were coming to pick up like the registration or something, but. Talking to her today, I was like, I'm not really the best salesman. I like, because I'll sit down and really we'll try to find you what you want for what you want it for. And if that don't work out, I'm like, hey, it didn't work out. You know what I mean? I'm not going to try to like super close you on something that you can't afford. So I'm like, I'm not really good at what I'm doing. I'm just selling off of personality. And honestly, it just I was like, maybe I am a pretty decent guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that goes a long way with people, and that's kind of the angle which I approached car sales as well. Because I've never been good at being like a hard closer. I worked at the VW dealership when I first opened that spot like 13 years ago now, and I was there with some old veterans. It was great. I'd try to pick up what I could from them,
right?
But, the one salesman was like, you just got to hit him between the eyes with it, and it's like, I was never comfortable doing that. But where I did well with people was, just being genuine, having that nice personality. And, I don't know. I've always believed you catch way more flies with honey than vinegar. So, if you get a good rapport going with people.
And I do ask for the business. I mean, you got to ask. That's the awkward thing. Will you buy this? Will you, whatever. But anyways, what had happened is I established a name for myself for the radio. Like people were like noticing it, and it was cool. I was writing my own little hooks and stuff. Johnny really helped me out, put it together. I mean, it wasn't one takes. You know what I mean? He put it together pretty good, and he'd give me a couple of one-liners. I'm like, all right, I'll throw. I mean, the way he say something, then I say it like I say it, and it sounded good. But I'd sit back because I got into a flow of it, and then one of my customers started calling because I go by Charlie, right? One of my customers started calling me Carolina Chuck, and I was like, all right, that's what I'm gonna use. And I came out there, I was like, it's Carolina Chuck, and then I signed an autograph. And I was like, what? I'm like, are you serious? I was all like, really? I didn't really get it. And then, people would see me out, and then they would be like, Carolina Chuck. And I'm like, hey, like what? And now I kind of like got into a groove of it and realized it's a thing. I've signed more than one.
It's your brand.
And then and that's kind of what led me to this. I'm like, dude, I feel like I owe somebody something too. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I got to do more. I want to bring people on and make a service of this thing, because it's like really only thing I got is a voice. You know, so I'm trying to do something with it and help the community. You know, we can fit in. You know. So,
yeah. Well, that's righteous stuff, though. That's that's not something everybody thinks to do, even. You know, so that's really cool. And like I said, you've caught my ear, you know, through those radio commercials. I'm like, who is this guy? Like,
everybody thought I looked like Colonel Sanders when they meet me. They're like, what? And people like still meet me to this. I was like, you're what? They're not what I expected. And then some people are like, oh, you are what I expected. I said, all right. You know, but yeah, I mean, but dude, I want to hear some more Doc Yukon. When's the next time y'all playing?
Yeah, so I think, God, I don't even have it in front of me. I think O'Brien's is going to be the next one. Nope, I lied. Let me think. We're going to be playing in Lowville.
Oh, I like Lowville. That's kind of country. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll be, we play outside, like have like a nice park greenery area, and every summer we usually make it over there to play. So I think it's going to be on Tuesday. I can't remember the date. Tuesday next week, I think.
Yeah.
And then from there, you know, the week after that, the 30th, we'll be at O'Brien's in Clayton for the bar gig, and then we'll be down at the Turning Stone.
So any big plans coming up? Any big plans?
We don't have anything too crazy huge right now. There's always stuff, you know, making connections and stuff like that. Really, I guess the next big thing is we've got some merch coming. We're getting our online store finalized.
Hey, you see, I got a swag shelf back here. Just saying.
I know. You got the maple syrup and stuff from Nancy Ranch. And
I did a podcast with the guy from the funeral home down here. He's going to bring me some embalming fluid. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to sit right awesome. There. I mean, look, whatever.
That's cool.
It's something to talk about.
Yeah.
He's a really cool guy. He's a good friend now. Jason Harrington is really awesome.
Oh, okay.
And matter of fact, he's into some pretty cool music too.
Nice. Funeral directors they're an interesting bunch. They're fun.
He's another one I wish we could have like a not so podcast together. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I feel like we could talk about some funny stuff. Or not funny stuff, but you know, a little bit of wilder stuff.
Right. I think you have to be obviously a certain personality type. You got to be cut out a certain way to do that.
Yeah, I mean, he turned out to be such a good dude. I mean, he helped me with not me, but helped us when my wife's dad passed away. And dude, like, and he says it best. I mean, he's just out there to help his community. Yep. And dude, like, the guy is responsible. He was sitting here doing the cast with me, waiting on like a on call kind of thing. This guy's got it takes a person to do that. But
yeah, because I mean, you're with people at one of the worst times in their lives. You know, the family members and stuff. So
I mean, he's totally professional, but he's outside of that, he's also pretty cool too. But look, dude, let's get this thing wrapped up, man. I appreciate you coming in here.
Oh yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
Yeah.